Music has always reflected the realities of its creators' lives. In hip-hop, this connection between art and experience has led to complex relationships between artists and street organizations. Today, we examine the documented connections between the Gangster Disciples organization and rap music, focusing on understanding rather than sensationalizing these ties. The Gangster Disciples emerged in Chicago during the late 1960s when David Barksdale and Larry Hoover united their respective groups. What began as a street organization evolved into a structured network with documented presence across multiple states. The organization developed formal hierarchies, symbols like the six-pointed star, and principles they claimed guide their activities. Understanding this background helps explain why some artists from affected communities might develop connections to such organizations. For many young people in certain neighborhoods, these groups represent familiar social structures in environments where other institutions may be less accessible. Several artists have had documented associations with the Gangster Disciples. Lil Jojo was explicitly affiliated with a GD faction, which influenced his music and ultimately contributed to conflicts that escalated beyond artistic expression. FBG Duck similarly had connections through his neighborhood affiliations. Other artists like Famous Dex appear on documented membership lists, though the nature and extent of these relationships vary significantly. These connections aren't always straightforward. Some artists grew up in areas where gang presence was simply part of the social landscape. Others may have chosen affiliations for protection or belonging. Still others might reference gang culture without direct membership, seeking to establish credibility or authenticity in their music. The relationship works both ways. Federal investigations have documented how some gang organizations actively seek to influence or extort artists. Rick Ross faced serious threats after referencing Larry Hoover in his music without permission from gang members. This incident illustrates how using gang symbols or names without understanding their significance can lead to real consequences. Artists often incorporate gang symbolism into their work through clothing colors, hand signs, or lyrical references. While some view this as authentic storytelling about their experiences, others see it as problematic glorification. The reality likely exists somewhere between these perspectives, varying by individual artist and context. The rise of drill music in Chicago highlighted these complexities. Artists like Chief Keef from rival Black Disciples engaged in musical feuds with GD-affiliated artists that reflected real neighborhood tensions. Social media amplified these conflicts, creating situations where online disputes could escalate into offline violence. This digital dimension represents a new challenge. Platforms that were meant for artistic expression became spaces where neighborhood rivalries played out publicly. Young artists found their music videos and social media posts scrutinized not just by fans, but by rival groups looking for signs of disrespect. The consequences for artists can be severe. Beyond the obvious physical dangers, gang associations can limit career opportunities as brands become hesitant to work with artists perceived as risky. Legal systems sometimes use rap lyrics as evidence in criminal cases, raising concerns about artistic freedom versus law enforcement needs. Some artists face pressure to choose between maintaining street credibility and accessing mainstream opportunities. This creates difficult decisions for individuals trying to use music as a path away from limited economic options in their communities. The music industry itself bears some responsibility for these dynamics. Record labels have historically marketed street authenticity when profitable, sometimes encouraging artists to emphasize dangerous aspects of their backgrounds. This approach can trap artists in narrow narratives that may not reflect their full experiences or aspirations. However, many artists are finding ways to navigate these challenges more safely. Some explicitly distance themselves from gang activities while still telling authentic stories about their communities. Others use their platforms to promote positive alternatives for young people facing similar circumstances. Educational initiatives that help young artists understand the legal and safety implications of their choices show promise. Programs that provide alternative pathways to economic success and artistic development offer hope for reducing harmful entanglements. The relationship between the Gangster Disciples and rap music reflects broader social issues including poverty, limited opportunities, and the search for belonging among young people. While we must acknowledge the real dangers and negative consequences of gang involvement, we should also understand the social conditions that make such affiliations appealing. Rather than simply condemning or glorifying these connections, we benefit more from examining their roots and working toward solutions. This means investing in communities, providing alternatives for young people, and supporting artists who want to tell their stories without perpetuating harmful cycles. Music remains a powerful force for both reflecting reality and inspiring change. By understanding the complex relationships between artists and street organizations, we can better support positive outcomes while respecting the authentic experiences that give hip-hop its power and meaning. The goal isn't to sanitize artistic expression, but to ensure artists have genuine choices about their associations and the freedom to evolve beyond any limiting circumstances they may have experienced.